I want to start a digital agency and take over the world. I want to start an e-commerce empire. Maybe I should build an app like Mark Zuckerberg. I could do all of it. Why don't I do all of it? Shiny object syndrome is very real and affects every entrepreneur at some point. You're working on a project you love. You get in because you're so hyped. You think this project's either going to make you a lot of money or impact a lot of people, so you start working on it. And you're doing it every day, but then you get this other idea. And the other idea seems just as good as the first idea. And then it seems better. So you switch from the main idea to the second idea and work on that one instead. And what happens is, as you're working on that one, you see a third idea. And that third idea seems great as well. So you jump over to that idea, quit your first and second idea, and start working on that one. That is shiny object syndrome. New business ideas come along as you're working on your current project that seem better, they seem more attractive, and so you will either leave or deprioritize your current project and move on to something else. I've done this so many times, and you could see it on this YouTube channel. I switched from doing digital agency, I hired Robert as the CEO and became a stand-up comedian for a year. I started a movie development company. I launched an online course. All of this was through shiny object syndrome. Now, some of it has stuck, like the online course, Email 10K, is the best way to start a business. The agency is still around, luckily, mostly thanks to the team that I've put together over there, including Robert Indresh, who's just amazing at running an agency. But shiny object syndrome can take you out, so it's worth knowing about and knowing that it's gonna happen on your journey of entrepreneurship. So let's talk about shiny object syndrome and how to avoid it. This video is brought to you by Email 10K. Learn how to book meetings with billion-dollar brands and take your company to the next level at email10k.com. First, why is shiny object syndrome bad? Okay, if you're like me, you think deep down, like yeah, you can try to cover it up, but deep down you think you can do anything in the world that's put on your plate. And what's cool, or what I found, is that really anyone can do anything, but one person can't do everything. You can't start an e-commerce business and be a stand-up comedian and run a six-figure, seven-figure digital agency and launch an online course and run a consulting business all at the same time. But you might ask, what about people like Kanye West, who's running 30 companies, or even Donald Trump, or Guy Fieri from the Food Network has restaurant after restaurant, show after show. How are these people able to do it? And my answer to that is they can do it because they don't start all of these shows all at the same time. They don't start all of these projects at the same time. Kanye finished his rap album, then he worked on his agency, Donda. Or he launched Yeezy, then he worked on his rap album. You don't want to be starting all these projects at the same time, or you'll get destroyed by it. And you certainly shouldn't be working on all these projects at the same time. One of the main reasons I was able to launch Email 10K and continue to scale X27, our marketing agency, past 7 figures, is because we have a team in place on each one of those. We never really got the team going on Albert Halsey on our e-commerce store because it didn't get validated fast enough, and so I dropped it. I wasn't willing to go into debt to get the team and scale the way we needed to scale. And it also is tough during a recession period where maybe it's the opposite problem. Maybe it's not a problem of I can do everything. Maybe it's a problem of I can do nothing right. So you start a business and it doesn't work, and then you start another business and it doesn't work, and then you start a third business and it doesn't work. Over and over again, none of your ideas are getting traction. So the other problem might also be true as well, which is if you could just focus on that one idea and yeah, it doesn't work, but instead of abandoning that concept fully, looking at why it doesn't work and changing it a little until it does work, kind of like solving a Rubik's Cube, then you'll break through. Versus if you're abandoning your concept every time you find another one, you have to start over and over again, rather than trying to work on a business where you could eventually hit exponential growth. So how do you avoid shiny object syndrome? Let's talk about some stuff that I found works. The first one is find a mentor or support group to keep you in focus. So if you are very committed to a goal, let's say you want to be an entrepreneur, you can join a course like Email 10K and hop in our support group there where it's a bunch of entrepreneurs talking to each other. There are also free groups out there. I'm not just trying to hype this course. I love the group and I love everything we have in there. I also am part of a mastermind every week, free mastermind, just me and 3 friends where we just talk, and we've been talking for 6-7 years now, every week about our goals. And the cool thing about having a group that you're talking to all the time, or a forum that you engage in all the time, is they'll hold you accountable. So if I'm on my group calls and I'm talking too much about art when I've already warned them that I only want to talk about business this month, they'll hold me accountable. They'll be like, why are you talking about art so much, man? I thought you wanted to focus on email 10K, growing email 10K. Or I thought you wanted to focus on X27. So your group or your mentor will hold you accountable. And maybe traditional therapists and stuff will work here too. I haven't really been too impressed with anything on like the traditional therapy side. It always is like the alternative, like the business focused people that are actually the best at keeping you in your goals. Versus a therapist might be like, yeah dude, paint that portrait if it makes you happy. And then meanwhile your business is falling apart. The second thing is you want to decide the goal and question whether or not you really need something. If your goal is monetary, then starting a second business a lot of the time doesn't matter. We could make more, I could make more by growing X27 and then growing email 10K, both of those, and all of our companies around the marketing niche, than I would make growing Albert Halsey or growing our e-commerce companies. And actually, we decided to stop marketing even simple apps. Is really in the buy and die phase right now. It's not being marketed at all because we realized that all of our resources should really go towards this YouTube channel, towards X27 marketing, towards Institute of Sales, like everything around sales training, marketing training, lead generation. All of that is our core focus if we want to make money. Now, all of our hobbies and everything we do outside of business, everything outside of business can be so shiny object syndrome because we have that core business going. So decide on your goal. Do you really want to be a stand-up comedian? And are you willing to sacrifice 10 to 12 years of your earning potential to be a stand-up comedian? Are you willing to cut your own legs off if it doesn't work in 12 years? Start at the bottom of the corporate ladder if it doesn't work. If you are, then yeah, go be a stand-up comedian. But if you're not, or if you're like me and people just aren't really laughing at your jokes as much as you'd want them to, then at some point you just realize, or I just realized, if this is a hobby, this is a hobby. And if this is a hobby, this isn't fun, so I'm gonna not do it. If it's a business, this isn't really a good business for me because I'm not very good at it and it's not making a lot of money. So that's just that. You gotta honestly look at what's going on in your life and decide whether this should be a pursuit of yours or not. I actually did this video called Psychological Tips to Stay Focused on Your Goals, which might be a good one to watch after this one. The next thing you want to do is understand that not every trend is the future or the next best thing to do. So you're sitting here and you're running your business, but then your friend is making money with lawn mowing. Now all of a sudden you're thinking, oh, should I start a lawn mowing conglomerate? That seems like a great business to do. No, you shouldn't. Every trend is not the future. So your friend, your other friend, is selling hype gear. He's selling Supreme clothes. Should you start selling Supreme clothes if your main business is digital agency? No. The answer is no. You can maybe buy some Supreme clothes from him, or you can taste it as a hobby, but do not, under any circumstances, abandon a business that you thought was great just for something that might be more fun. Because guess what? When you're 6 months into the hype clothes, you're gonna hate it just as much as you hate your current business. And when you're 7 months into the hype clothes, you might love it more than your current business. Everything ebbs and flows. So if you're sitting there and you're like, oh, I hate running a digital agency. Everything about this sucks. Well, one, you can hire people to do the things you don't like. But two, in 3 weeks, are you still gonna hate your agency? A friend of mine who worked in corporate America told me this really great piece of advice. He said, don't come in on day one with a lot of hype, because on day 70, you might not have that same amount of hype and you'll get fired because they'll see your productivity decrease. It's kind of like that for your business. Just understand that you're not gonna have that day one excitement about your business on day 270. So I'm not saying don't work as hard in the beginning. In fact, you should work as hard as possible in the beginning so that you don't have to work as hard on day 270. That's one of the benefits of starting a business versus going into corporate America. Just understand you're gonna feel that way. There are days where you're gonna wake up and you're not gonna want to work on your business. And usually that means you have to change something about your business, not abandon the concept entirely. I tweeted something like this recently. I don't remember exactly what the tweet was, but it was something like, don't let depression kill your manic ideas. Because we'll all get like this hype, right? We'll all get this mania where we're like, oh, I'm gonna change the world. Then you come up with an idea that you know is good. But then like a week later, if you're feeling a little bummed or you're feeling tired, maybe you had a bad meal the night before or you're not working out the right way, you might think, oh, it doesn't matter. But if you just remember how you were so hyped a couple weeks ago, you'll remember that that idea is actually good. So you gotta keep working on it. You don't abandon in your temporary depression the idea that is gonna change your life long term. Just don't do that. And I know it's hard in the moment. You gotta force yourself to work. Another thing you wanna do is don't go for these quick ideas like, oh man, if I just put my head down for 6 months and sell this thing for $10 million, I'll be able to retire to a beach in Cabo. Don't do that, because in 7 months when you haven't sold the thing, because it actually takes 11 months to do, you're gonna give up. There's no such thing as these quick victories until you've done it a few times. Like our agency was 7 figures. That took about a year, maybe a year and a half of actually grinding on it, on like different concepts. But really it took 5 years of reading business books, like doing all this stuff. So I was in there for a long time. And then eventually you can do quick things, but even something like Email 10K, the launch of our course, which has made multiple 6 figures now. Even something like that, if I had said, oh, I'm gonna quickly launch Email 10K, then I'm gonna go retire on a beach in Cabo. What is Cabo? Why do I keep saying Cabo? I don't know what Cabo is. So if I'd said that, then I wouldn't want to put in all the time to improve the course. I wouldn't want to put in all the time to do all of the support necessary and teach everyone. And actually I'd be missing out on one of the most fulfilling things we do, because having a rock solid course where people are going in and succeeding on starting their agencies is insanely valuable, but for the people that are in the course, but also for me as a person. The other thing you want to do is test the shiny idea before going all in. If you see something that looks great, maybe you don't want to quit your job right away. You want to just try it out. And once you've tried it, maybe you do like it enough to quit your job or quit your main thing, but it's not recommended. This video is brought to you by Email 10K. So you don't have a business idea, huh? Do you want to know what the best business to start is, regardless of market conditions? Check out the free presentation at email10k.com. We have over 200 students that are crushing it using this business strategy, even during this time. So check that out, email10k.com. Thanks for watching the video. Smash that like button to encourage this type of content, and I'll talk to you later. Subscribe for more videos like this. Thanks for watching. I'm Alex Berman.